Welcome back to Ordinal Revolution. My name is Shizzy. On this channel, we cover the ordinal space, everything. And today we got something special. We have a couple of community guys. Guys been around. If you're in the spaces, you know both of these guys. We got Block and we have Erik BRC20. I'm excited for this one. We look forward to this all week. We scheduled this during the weekend, and we're like, hey, let's do this Wednesday. And we're gonna have a good time today. And we're gonna get into a lot of different topics, a lot of different things, and yeah, let's just kind of get into it and bring up my co-host, as always, Mr. Yagobi. What's up, buddy?
What up? What up? I'm excited.
So yeah.
I was gonna say,
we normally.
My turn. I was
Go
gonna
ahead.
say, like, excited to have these two guys on. You know, like really big community guys in the ordinal space. You know, they're both. You can tell they're both like builders in their own way, right? And they're always in the spaces trying to educate and stuff like that. So excited. I want to get into like both of their heads because I want to see like how they think, you know, like on camera and just kind of so they break that down. But yeah, man, I'm excited.
Yeah, it should be a fun one. We definitely, you know, we kind of. I feel like I know these guys. Talked to them so many times. I heard them talk so many times. So it should be really fun to finally get them on and pick their brains, just like you just said. But yeah, so we'll bring up Erik first. So we got him. We got him.
What's
He's
up?
doxed. He's here. It's Erik. What's up, man?
Live.
Fun. How we doing?
Good, man.
Good, man.
Glad to have you on.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
Loving the shirt. Don't like the hat, but we can deal with it.
Hey, I'm from I gotta rep the squad. They, you know, I liked them when they were 1-15, so I like them when they were. Now we're going back down to that level.
Hey, that's a true fan though, so you got to respect that.
You know, I'm all Boston, man. I'm all Boston. So
hey, I'm a Cowboys fan, so I know the pain. I know the pain.
Can't hate on it, man. My wife was born and raised here in Arizona, and she's diehard Cowboys with my daughter. And now I think they bought tickets to the Cowboys Patriots game in Dallas, and they're trying to. So I may go to that. So
okay. We might have to hang out if you got time or whatever. So
hey, it'd be like I think it was just a round trip, flying at 9 and leave at home at midnight type of thing. But
gotcha.
Hey, if you can get to the game or beforehand, absolutely.
For sure.
And I'm in Philly, so we just come in second place a lot. We just come in second place a lot. So
you know, it's the Eagles, man. Jalen Hurts fucked me in my fantasy last year. I made it to the final round of best ball on DraftKings, and he was my QB all year. And then he gets hurt. $1 million, and I had Mac Jones. I love Mac, but that 7 points just cost me like 10 grand because I wouldn't have took first, but you know, he would have got me more than 7.
Yeah.
So it's all good.
Let's bring in number 4 here. So Mr. Block.
What's
up,
hey,
dude?
Man.
What's going on?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Good. Really good. So we know you're kind of like the farmer guy, right? You're always talking about your land, the horses, the hay. It's always fun to hear, man. Especially you're just like, all right, guys, I gotta go. We got a hay delivery. And I'm like, hell yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny because like it's like switching from like, you know, like being a farmer and like getting your hands dirty and then jumping into like blockchain technology, you know, like after, so it's like day and night. But that's awesome, man. I grew up actually in the country, like next to like I would say like 5 acres cow farm next to me. So I know a little bit about it. Not as much as you though. I didn't own my own hogs.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we only got 2, and they just walk around and graze. They're just pets, so they're not gonna get turned into bacon, so they're safe.
Oh, nice.
I'm sorry, Piggy.
All right, let's dig into your guys' backgrounds, because like obviously on the show, like we love talking about projects and different things, but like for the space to really be successful and all spaces really we need to have good people. And so I'd like to dig into the people's backgrounds. So we'll start with Erik, man. Could you give us like maybe without like completely doxing yourself as far as back as possible up until you heard the word Bitcoin?
Yeah. I mean, most people know I started back in like late 16, early 17. And I got in it from a buddy. Well, my business partner at the time, I owned a gun manufacturer. Most people know that, which I sold back in 2018. So in that is kind of how I got introduced to it. So a good buddy of mine was like head of defense of like Homeland Security back in Jersey, and between him and my partner, we started talking about crypto, and he's like, "Hey man, there's this coin the banks are gonna fucking use called Ripple." I was like, "Oh yeah," and he's like, "Dude, you want to get into this coin?" So I got, I don't know, I put a couple of grand into Ripple or something like that, and I literally held it. That's before I started trading or anything, man. And like I'm refreshing my fucking wallet while I'm at work. The fuck is this like a normal? Is this normal shit here? You know, I'm like, it's like 5 grand, 7 grand, 10 grand. I'm like, I have about 8, 9 grand in debt right now. What the fuck is going on? And it's like 15K. I'm like, all right. And it was when it hit over $3. And I remember the Bittrex when I sold it, it was 333. So I cashed it, cleared the debt, and left the rest in to learn to trade. And of course it was bear market, dropped to like $600, right? But I didn't care. I was like, all right, clear my debt. Now I'm in this shit. Now I'm addicted to it. So from there, I just started learning the platforms, learning crypto and Bitcoin, right? And then when I sold my business in 2018, for a down payment, I took 1 Bitcoin, which at the time was like 10, 12K. And because my ex-partner at the time told me, I bought 2 of them for like $600. Oh, you're going to fork one of those over, dude. So there's my down payment, you know, for selling the business. And then I was actually paid out in 24 payments due on the first of the month. Part of the sale paid in full right before March of 2020, and all that was paid into Bitcoin. So I did that, and got fortunate with that. You know, that's in my holdings in my cold wallet there for me for later. But that's really how I got introduced into crypto and really got into it. And you know, I've just been addicted to that since. And you know, prior to getting in all this construction, everything I did, you know, before that, man, I was in Cisco. So I was a computer guy. I was Cisco certified and could program blank routers back in, you know, 99, 2000 when I was graduating high school, to give my age away if you couldn't tell by the colors of the beard there. But, you know, I did a lot of that. And I was actually an IT guy for a big construction company. So that's how I got into construction. At the time, it was a lot more money. You know, I kind of wish I stayed in IT then, even though it was less, because I probably would have been in fucking Bitcoin from the goddamn beginning. But hey, you know, life has its paths for a reason, right? And that's where I'm at now, and couldn't be happier. So, yeah, in between, it was just trading crypto ups and downs, and you know, use Ethereum to buy a Tesla back in, you know, when that shit ran up back in 2020, and when I bought a bunch of that when it hit under $100. So that's kind of my background, and kind of just been cooking, and mainly a trader, man. Never got into NFTs or any of that crap. But
yeah,
I dived into just a little bit at the end of last year. Literally lost some Ethereum. I'm like, why am I in this stupid shit? And when ordinals became a thing, I really just went full steam with, you know, with Bitcoin. And
yeah,
obviously, you know, if you're in crypto, you always got a Doge bag, right? If you've been in crypto long enough, you've got a Doge bag. So seeing the Doge community and how big it is, that's kind of what led us into our projects we're doing now. And mind you, I'm still cooking a ton with Bitcoin and brc20s. Most people know, I know Block knows because we talk all the time. You know, I've got over 300 plus non-fungible brc20 just mints and deploys that I own to myself, so that I've been cooking up stuff with. So
oh yeah,
yeah.
Nice.
What was that aha moment for you over in ordinals? Like, so if February rolls around, you were messing around on ETH, you're kind of just like dabbling a little bit. What was that aha moment to make you download that Unisat wallet, to make you download the Express wallet? What was that for you?
Man, it wasn't really ordinals. It was the coins. You know, like, oh fuck,
Okay.
there's Bitcoin now. Like, you know, in Ethereum, like maybe I can't get rugged. You know, like that's what really did it. And then on top of that was I converted everything in my Roth IRA to Bitcoin mining companies, did leap options through 2025. You know, on like Hut 8 and some others. So that's when I was like, okay, I'm gonna keep a real close mind to this, because I'm like, all this shit's going to the miners. And Wall Street's so stupid to realize this, and these mining stocks are so low. Yeah, leap option in this shit. I've already paid taxes on it. So yep, let's do it. So that's like when the BRC20s really hit was, you know, and I watched Ordi mint out. Like I was like, it's the first one. Should I pull the plug? Dumbass, I didn't spend a couple bucks and get some right free mint. I mean, I got it, some of it cheap, but it was like, all right. When I watched that mint out, and I got it in a ton of meme, and luckily I sold that when it was still selling. So, yeah, man, I minted so many fucking coins. I don't even want to go into what I still have them. I'm waiting for these wallets to, because most people don't know, you can send If you send an inscription to like your Coinbase Bitcoin address, you actually recover those sats.
Yeah.
Back. So I'm waiting until you can bulk send it. Magic Eden doesn't let you bulk send to your Coinbase address, so it's not just sitting on it. Somebody will eventually create that. I don't care if it's in 3 years from now. Send 10,000 of them. It's fine. Recover all of it at once. But yeah,
All right.
a bit of me in a nutshell. If you want to go into more, you can ask me some questions, I guess.
Yeah, sounds good. Well, we'll jump back to you in a minute. Let's get into Block here. What's up, Block? So same question. Take us back as far as you can. I would love to hear like how you got into farming and all that stuff, and then kind of lead us up until you heard that word Bitcoin.
So I'm kind of born and raised on the farm. Like grew up with a family business that did trail rides out in British Columbia, and I've hopped around a lot of places. I got a 15-year union job in the lumber industry for a time. Always been super tech curious, and yeah, so we're over here building Blockchain Racing Club, which is like a in real life integration of horse racing. So like the next generation of Web3 integration, like leveraging ordinals, because I'm sort of like a die-hard Bitcoiner. And that kind of started in around 2011. That was thanks to Max Kaiser and the Kaiser Report, back then. Yeah, I was a die-hard Kaiser Report watcher and, fan of poker. I'm a big, like to play poker. And back then, we, us Bitcoiners used to play on sealed clubs. And there was every Sunday there was a 50 Bitcoin tournament. Like that's kind of numbers we were playing with back then. That was every Sunday, right? So and the entry was 0.5. Yeah. And
what year was that?
So that would have been, so I did my education on Bitcoin like 2011, 2012. A lot of Kaiser Report, a lot of Andreas Antonopoulos videos, and then really start digging into poker and like the usage end of Bitcoin in 2012, 2013. So,
Okay.
a lot of that was around the banking crisis in Cyprus. And there's like I kind of got into it from that generation, which was like that and WikiLeaks, and then just the ability to use money, like a new form of money, just any way you wanted without a middleman. So like that was very important. That idea, like I don't know, really just kind of laid its egg in my head, and it's been there ever since. And it's, I guess, my first time using or like really interacting with Bitcoin was Satoshi Dice, like Eric Voorhees's old website, right? And that was a good way to visualize how Bitcoin moves from one place to another, and how you could have a system of provably fair dice rolls that there was no middleman, right? You send your Bitcoin, there was this dice roll based on a hash, and it came back to you positive or negative, you won or lost. And then that led into poker, and that led into trading, and that's been a whole education for over a decade now, right? And like that's kind of why I'm here in Ordinals, is because I'm not a dev, right? But I like to do stuff. The Bitcoin just opened up like 9 months ago or whatever, right? So it's kind of a good time for people that have been sitting on the sidelines and wanting, like, I don't know, I feel like Bitcoin's the final destination for a lot of NFT projects and everything. It's kind of, everything's coming home. And we're all like rediscovering Bitcoin, which like we've seen with bitmaps and stuff. People have been learning the blockchain history, which has been like one of the really one of the most important parts of Ordinal so far, is people relearning the blockchain and interacting with the mempool and learning all the little niche things through the years, like the empty blocks and the messages in the mines and all of those things. So yeah, I don't know. So that's what I'm building, but then I have all these spin-off things outside of Blockchain Racing Club that include like the Matrix phones and the ordinal worms and other stuff I'm working on that I can't talk about. So yeah, that's kind of where I am. So yeah, my evolution started, yeah, with Max Kaiser and all that stuff back in the day.
Man, that's pretty
That's
deep.
awesome.
Yeah, it's definitely I feel like a lot of like Bitcoin fundamentalist is what I'm hearing. Did you ever like go over to altcoins or mess around with Ethereum and other stuff, or did you strictly just stay in Bitcoin and held Bitcoin until ordinals came around?
So that's like a cycle. That's like its own learning process for me, and I think everybody has to go through it, where you get like ground to dust as a trader, and you learn that, and then there's just all the technicals of just like early back then we were all learning. There was less trading. It was just hard to. There's no on ramps. It was hard to even get. But when you got it, you were wanting to just compare it to the other chains. It was learning like what's the difference between Bitcoin and Litecoin and Terracoin, Feathercoin, Chinacoin, Primecoin, like all that old stuff. And then every step from there, it's just been like kind of a graveyard of altcoins, but I've always been open to seeing what other people are building over there, because I kind of had a feeling that it was all going to come back. And like a lot of that expression that's on the other chains is just born out of the lack of the ability to build on Bitcoin so far, or at least people interact with it the way they want to. So yeah, that's what Ordinals changed really.
So do you consider yourself like a hybrid of like laser eyes, or do you consider yourself kind of like, I don't want to be a laser eye, but I understand the fundamentals, but I'm very open-minded to, building on Bitcoin?
Yeah, so I do consider myself a laser eye, it's just a different form, and it's like kind of that early curious person that entered into Bitcoin back then. It was born out of a frustration with the financial system and the way it worked at the time. It still works today. And that, just all of those different aspects mixed together. But like really just being curious, a technically curious person that just is like interested in this new thing. So anytime there's something new, I'm definitely gonna poke around, but I definitely understand the final value prop of Bitcoin. And I do believe it is, so like the time chain truly is the time chain, the actual decentralized network we should all care about.
That's a fair answer.
Yeah, man. Yeah, so I definitely love that, the Max Kaiser all the way up to Ordinal. So I'm guessing when Casey came out in December, you were probably all over it. I'm sure you heard about it right away, right?
Yeah, so winter time's busy time of the year around here. It's tough with the weather and everything, Christmas and family. So I kind of it came across my radar like just news blurb, but didn't dive deep didn't start digging until early February. Probably around inscription 45,000, 55,000, somewhere in there.
Nice.
And yeah, so was watching it and I could see it kind of trucking along, but then it went parabolic on its way to 100K. Like I was starting to get into the groups and follow Ordinal, figure out who the people were in Ordinal Twitter and find out what's going on and read about it. And I slid in there just under 100K with a couple inscriptions of my own. And that was like my entry into Ordinals. Then ever since then, it's been a rabbit hole, just like everything else.
Nice.
That's awesome.
I got a question for Erik. Erik, we just heard from Block, and he has this like Bitcoin fundamentals. Like you can tell, your situation was kind of like you were introduced to Doge initially, but then you worked your way back to Bitcoin. How what was that mindset like? Were you kind of like, you know what, like Doge was fun. It was something that like got me into it, but then like I'm realizing that the closer I am to Bitcoin is the better, or like what was your mindset?
Well, it was Ripple, just
Oh, Ripple.
correction.
Sorry about that. Yeah, Ripple.
No, I have No, I just wanted to correct for the audience. Ripple was kind of what got me into crypto, right? And it was more a rabbit hole. Like I remember sitting there New Year's Eve watching Justin Sun and Tron in that hotel room, like it's a 10-year plan, and just shut up. Like The Verge with the porn stars and the porn hub and whatever. I remember, you guys remember that, XVG and all that fun stuff. So I was just more of a trader, right? Like how could I learn the charts? Really started studying that. So I started just swing trading. What did I see movement in, right? Bitcoin was when I sold my business and had that was more of, that's just a hold. That's still sitting in the cold wall in the gun safe, and that's where that's going to sit. What I do now is I don't touch that, right? That's like, hey, I'm retiring by the time I'm fucking 50, so I hope Bitcoin fucking runs. You know what I mean? Like that's what that holding's for. So I've always had the Bitcoin, but now it's like, shit coins, like Block said, man. I remember sitting in a meeting. I got hired at this company, and it was in 21, and it was like the orientation meeting, and I ended up building up FTM. Remember, it ran from 30 cents to like $3, and I was leveraging it. So I took that.
Handsome, right?
Yeah. I took that to like. Sorry, I had a phone call coming in.
You're good.
I took that 10K, right? And so I got greedy and rolled it all on the SHIB. And I'm like, how many, like billions of fucking SHIB. And I'm sitting there, not even paying attention in this work meeting, and my phone's going off like, oh, liquidation warning. I'm like, wait a minute, what? What are you talking about? So I'm like sitting there, and then I hear, hey, Erik, you okay? I'm like, yeah, man, I'm good. Like I should have been like bathroom, right? Like, let me cash something out. Well, I got liquidated on that. So as he said, you learn and stuff goes to dust, right? It's like, okay. Like, how can I tell myself I just lost 10K in a good way? It was only $1,000. I turned the grand into 10K, and then I lost that. So I was trying to convince myself that's all I lost was $1,000, right? Hey, make it happy. It's all I put into it. But you learn. So I started messing with those other coins. What Bitcoin kind of was like when those BRC20s came in and hit. That's when it was like, let me make that shift. Because now there's the shit coins on Bitcoins, right? And maybe they'll work. Maybe there'll be projects. Maybe they won't be. Maybe they'll turn into some, as we've seen. Some have turned into projects, right? Maybe the coin doesn't necessarily work with the particular project, but hey, it led to the project. So, in the end, as Block said, it all comes to Bitcoin, right? So, knowing we can have fun on that, and it's doing what that white paper said, and putting the activity on chain. That's what gets me most.
Yeah, so I guess we'll just we will go next. Jump into projects or
Yeah, I mean, I think you both are. I want to hear your perspectives and takes on these non-fungible BRC20s. So that seems to be something that you guys are both excited on. We'll start with you, Block, since you had the Matrix phone. If you could kind of go into what excites you about them, maybe just start off with just trying to explain it to the audience in the easiest way possible, and then go into what excites you about that.
Okay, so like a BRC20 is just a text inscription protocol that a lot of people are probably familiar with. If you're watching this show, you probably are. And it has a suite of protocols that are associated with it. And one of them was a decimal function that was kind of overlooked by inscribing services and I don't know, I guess influencers and other people that were going through the doc. And I realized, so by default, a BRC20 ticker deployment, if the decimal is not specified as to what it should be, the default is 18 decimal places. So like anything that's a BRC20 can be fractionalized or perceived to be fractionalized, even though Satoshi is not fungible in and of itself. You could trade them with the intent, like saying, hey, this is a piece of whatever. So that's just an important part of securities law and everything else associated with it, right? And so that was kind of why we call NFTs non-fungible tokens on the east side. So, they're often associated with pictures, they don't get broken up. So with the BRC20s, if you can set that decimal to anything in between 0 and 18, but if you set it to 0, you have a non-fungible token in the truest sense. And what I like about that is just that it can be used for redemptions, experiences, like a variety of things, right? Token gated passes, all kinds of things, merchandise, all this stuff, ways for Web 2 projects to integrate with Web 3, with avoiding a lot of the security laws associated with it. And by the deployer specifying that they want the decimal 0, kind of shows the intention. And so, especially when you tie the ticker to an emoji, that's where it kind of gets fun, because you have an image that can only be deployed once, because most emojis are 4 bytes, so they can't be mimicked or spoofed, which is also a nice aspect of BRC20s. So when you're looking at most tickers, you're sure you're looking at the right one, because on other chains that's been an issue. You go to Dex tools and you'll be looking for a ticker. You got to figure out which one's the right one. So for 4 byte or 4 character and 1 character 4 byte BRC20s, they can't be spoofed. 2 and 3 are a little bit of a different story, because you can play with empty spaces and stuff, but that's kind of a side topic. When it comes to just non-fungible BRC20s, when you tie the ticker to an image and that image can't be replicated, like the matrix phone or anything else, it's kind of just a neat little niche concept where, again, you have like this image, it's non-fungible token, it's a closed supply, and you can do them as open mints or closed, right? So I was playing with BRC20 non-fungibles in early June and did a bunch of deployments myself, including like 1-of-1s and different sizes of tokenomics and styles of tokenomics, but then minting them out completely myself. But then I realized that someone was just going to do an open mint, and I thought it was cool, like that someone should do something with that, because it would be the first, or at least at the time I thought it would be the first. Turns out people played with these things well before I did, like month and a half before. But they never really wrote it out quite the same way I did, or like talked about it, or explained or kind of conceptualized it the way I did. So yeah, that's kind of like how they were born. It was literally 10 or 15 minutes. I was like, well, it was early May and we're running out of tickers to deploy at like a really quick rate. Like a lot of the interesting emojis, like frogs or whatever, have been deployed with some crazy tokenomics, and like they'll really never have a use. So people that like deployed with intention at the time definitely have an advantage. And we're kind of seeing that with the Sats BRC20, which I'd love to talk about later. But yeah, so back with the Matrix phones, it's kind of like this neat little free open mint that anybody can interact with, and it has a big enough supply, 21,303, to give people a long enough runway. And I did that at the time because everything was in such a frenzy. If you made this supply too small, it was going to mint out really quick. And so when it completes, it's kind of going to be one of the largest ordinal collections and communities, and it's really has no peers, and it kind of threads this line in between places like Magic Eden and Ordinal's Wallet, and then other places that trade BRC20s like Unisat, and then maybe eventually OKX and Gate, other places, right? So it can kind of play with the liquidity on both ends. And I always kind of knew, like my instinct was that the BRC20 protocol was going to get built out quite a bit, and like we're still waiting to see what happens with that. But things like cursed inscriptions, dual inscriptions, parent-child, we started to get very interesting things we can do with the Matrix phones. So I'm kind of working on a community project on the back end that's going to be probably PFP related, or I have a few different ideas where people will be able to take their mint inscription, put it on any sat that they want, like create the transfer, and then you dual inscribe that, or maybe a parent child, I haven't decided yet. So that on the other side of that Satoshi or that BRC20, there's a profile picture, right? And so as a community, everybody can kind of bring their own thing to that project. Like it's truly decentralized, right? So that's just like one concept, but for like Web 2 companies and in real life experiences, they make good redemption tools because they're so lightweight, because it's just a string of JSON. And we have tools in Discords and stuff that are getting built out that allow you to token gate things. So like experiences and merch and all this stuff, it's all opened up. So it's really exciting. So I've like deployed a lot of different types of tokens with different intentions. I think they're good for artists to offload some of the cost of high fee art that they want to inscribe if it's not recursive or whatever. Especially like if you're a trusted artist but you just don't have the funds, but people believe in you, they can buy your BRC20 for X, and that can fund on the, you know, on the artist end, the inscription of like a better piece of art that they can drop later to that person that bought the BRC20. And they kind of, BRC20 is also leverage like the indexing system that we all use. So it's kind of like backdoors parent-child. It makes it very easy for me as the deployer to follow my community and give them airdrops and see everything that's going on. So like that was another reason I think they're cool. But that's a whole rabbit hole that I think is still growing. Like, and I'm still learning, and we're all still building out conceptually together. So yeah, it's just one little thing for those non-fungibles that I had to say on that.
Yeah,
I don't know if Erik had something to say, but yeah.
That's kind of cool though. It's like basically you just made something for your community. I'm guessing the release was kind of like, was it a giveaway or was it a mint? What was the actual release of the Matrix phones?
Excuse me. It was midnight. I don't know, June 6th or something. Just literally planned it for 15 minutes. I was like looking for an emoji that wasn't taken. And I found that clamshell phone, and I was like, oh, that's kind of like the Nokia from the Matrix. Maybe I can call them the Matrix phones. I really like the Matrix. It vibes with the cypherpunk ethos, Bitcoin, all that stuff, orange pill. So they just kind of coined them that. And I released them at midnight, and kind of they debuted on the Swamp one night. And they minted out like 10% or 5% that night, and it's been a steady grind ever since.
Oh,
Nice.
That.
where are they at right now in terms of supply left?
So they're at like 29% done, 6,200 minted.
Gotcha.
They would be on the first page of Unisat if the first couple pages of in progress hadn't been spoofed by whoever did that. I'm sure you guys have noticed someone's minted stuff out to 99.9999%.
Yeah,
they're actually used. Well, what they're doing is they're using the that fungibility I was talking about, where they can inscribe a mint. You don't have to take, like, if you do a Sats BRC20 mint, you don't have to mint 100 million. You could mint 99,999,999.999999. So you can leave a mint stuck on the in progress page at 99%.
No one can finish it.
No one can finish it unless they want to waste the money to do a 0.0001, right?
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That sucks.
So someone took the time to waste a couple pages worth of mints, right? Just to bother people, I guess.
He's been bitter about that, let's just say.
I'm super bitter.
Dot bitter?
Dot bitter, yeah.
Dot bitter. Yeah, speaking of dot bitter, how's that going? Is it still?
Man, I haven't said anything about it for a while. I don't know. I've been on the website. It's an interesting, like, it literally, I could, conceptualized it washing the dishes. So, like I said, it's a 45-minute project. Copy pasted Domo's BRC20 document and edited some stuff, and it just kind of went, right? Like I launched it and I woke up the next morning, there's 4,000 inscriptions, and I just kind of went, okay,
Yeah.
right?
Whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah. So
I like how you handled the dot bidder thing. It was kind of like you weren't trying to be like, hey, I started this and, you know, this is like a movement. It was like you did start it, but then you kind of like, well, let's see where this goes. And you're kind of like, you know, backing up a little bit and then coming back in just to maybe help out with other people that are trying to get it going. But I thought
well,
it was
you don't
pretty,
want to be in charge of social media anyway. Like
yeah,
you don't want to be Zuckerberg or Dorsey. Like if that took off, that's a big responsibility. It's not what I want to be, right? But
true.
it's just a cool
Yeah.
idea for a protocol. But if it went, it needed to be like a Hydra. Like it needed to not rely on me. It just needs to go on its own volition. Like if it sticks because it was
The market.
other people
Yeah,
like it, right?
exactly. What about you, Eric? Like, so how are you feeling on the non-fungible situation? Are you all for it? What are your thoughts for the BRC20 non-fungible?
I mean, yeah, I've Block touched on a lot of that. I've got, like I mentioned earlier, a good 250, 300 plus BRC20 non-fungible deploys, whether they're emojis or certain tickers with supplies, right? People that have deployed them that I front ran that didn't know the mempool or like, hey, yeah, Block did that. Well, I went to Block and I was like, dude, somebody just fucking man, it like deployed like 5 of these non-fungibles, man. I scooped them all. I was like, yeah, I had to get on the tractor and fucking forgot. I was like, oh, well, I guess so I'm holding them for them. But, like a lot of things, man. There's being in a lot of construction, I've done a lot of private membership areas, right? So if you've got something that's fungible, someone can split that. And how do you know that's the true owner of that pass per se, right? So non-fungibles create that ability to you can't split that up. You can't make a duplicate of that. It may be super bullish when you had Google talking about they'll allow NFTs in their marketplace as long as they're not gambling NFTs and they're non-fungible. So that was a big word, right? Non-fungible there. And then Unisat came out on a space. I think it was. I don't think it was the Ordinal show, but it was another big space. The founder of Unisat was talking about how he was super bullish on layer 2s and then non-fungible stuff. So that kind of non-fungibles in general, I think the way you can't split those up and fractionalize. And I mean, there's not 21 million ordi, divide those by 18th decimal places. And that's the true supply of ordi, right? So non-fungibles just hold a different meaning. And I think it'll take some time. We're still super new in the ordinal world of Bitcoin. People are still coming up with new protocols and things daily, right? So I think that may take some time for people and people are still building with it. But, a lot of people are talking about yielding and staking and earning passive income, right, on Bitcoin layer 1s. Well, would you rather, if you're going to sit and stake and lock up your coins, would you rather get whole coins or would you rather get 18th of a decimal of a coin that you're earning on a yield or something? So when it comes to that, I'd rather do that with a non-fungible, give me some whole time. So I think a lot of it will come into play. A lot of it, with emojis and artwork, you can tie into that too. So, Block on a lot of those other points. So I'm not going to sit there.
Yeah. And I feel like these are definitely not spoken a lot about in the space. And so it could be like one of those things that down the road, like a year or two later, people be like, man, these are rare. You know what I mean? Like people didn't know that this shit happened. And then that's whenever they pop because like, people didn't like a lot of the people in the community might not even know, but obviously we're trying to educate them now about it. So yeah, I think it's definitely like a cool idea. And a question I have for both of y'all, because I feel like you both like really seems like you try to look for things that you don't see in the ordinal space. Is that where your mind is? Are you just like, man, I don't want to do like a regular project. Even if I'm burning some of my sats or whatever, I want to do something that is different. And is that where you guys are coming from? Block, you go first, and then I'll let Eric.
Yeah, so novelty is key and like first mover advantage too. And I'm kind of like I don't know. I think my mindset's very much like if you tell me something or like something is a certain way, I want to poke around it and test it out. I want to see if I can get under the door and around or over the fence or like whatever, and like come up with new ways to make those things work too. And always read the documents, right? Like that's where you find the neat stuff, the devil's in the details, and like that's kind of how I found that decimal function. One other thing, just on those, I do think like one of one non-fungibles that just have a supply of one are their own like little NFT collection that deserves to eventually get listed. I think that's like a really cool little niche thing because those tickers are just like that's the only way they'll ever be deployed is and it's just that one piece.
How
So I
many
think that's an
emojis?
interesting thing.
How many emojis do you think are like that?
I have well, no, I don't have too many 101s. Erik has quite a bit more. I don't have too many.
But if you were to do
I
like
know there
accumulation,
are others.
do you think there's like that collection? If let's say a platform was like, we're going to do a collection of all these 101 emojis, do you think there would be like more than like 1,000, or do you feel like you just don't? That's
Hundreds.
like hundreds.
It'll be under 1K, I think.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that that could be a valuable collection for sure.
I've got over 200 of them. I mean, one of them is 98% of the dominoes.
The dominoes.
Yeah.
Somebody minted out like 2 other ones in supply, so I have 90% of the other ones as one.
How do you make a domino emoji? I didn't even know they had a whole collection of dominoes.
So
on there.
it's Unicode.
Cards. And,
Oh, okay, gotcha.
The mahjong cards. I mean, emojis. There's all sorts of.
Dude, this is like okay. So that actually gets me. That gets me excited because I feel like that's like a collection that down the road could be looked at as very valuable.
Only
Putting it all together. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Erik, same thing. Like, does your mind just kind of say, fuck the regular shit? I want to go off the,
I'm a kind of no risk, no reward type of guy. You know what I mean? Like, all right, did I blow $400 or $500 inscribing non-fungible BRC20 emojis, some with supplies, some without? I don't know. I've lost more in a casino. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
More on lottery tickets or spending it on weed in 2 months, right? So sure, I gambled, right? Like, so no risk, no rewards in that regard. So yeah, if you can get ahead of the curve on some stuff, and especially with Bitcoin, with what's coming out, right? If non-fungibles have become a thing in 2 years, hey, Block and I were there early. People might be like, damn, I really wish I could own the poop emoji. I don't own it. I don't know if Block owns that one. I think someone put it out with a supply. But, with all these quad keys and metaverse and bitmaps and everything else, like, yeah, I own the Beach Sand Island one with the umbrella, 101 emoji that's colored. Hey, maybe it'll become a thing with the island I own on quad keys. So who knows? And I've got over 2,000 plus ordinals that I haven't put one picture out on Twitter of that I'll start inscribing, and maybe I'll attach them to my non-fungible token and give them away. I don't know. I'll do stuff with the Matrix phones. Who knows what we'll cook up? But yeah, there's a lot of stuff I have planned. I have tons of Doginals I was gifted that I'm giving away too. So
nice.
That's how I look at it. And just some of that early stuff, especially with Bitcoin. What is it? Sure, I probably wasted a ton of money on some shit.
Yeah.
Here's what it is. And those sats back and recycle it and do the same thing again, right? And then some of them you make a bunch out on, right? Like look at bitmaps, it took off, and I was able to get tons of those free mints and get my money back in them, son. So hey, I got money back I wasted on some other shit that went to miners, right? So
yeah, we're in an innovation period too, like with Bitcoin. So why not?
Markets I've ever been in, I can tell you that.
Yeah,
I'd rather waste money inscribing shit than trading shit coins and losing the money that way.
100%.
Well, speaking of shit coins, I'm gonna go over to Doge. No, I'm playing.
Fork a Bitcoin, but hey, it's a meme. It's a shit coin. It's got a community. Call it what you will, man. It's
it it was called the first shitcoin, right? It was the first, the first known thing. At the beginning, it was made as a joke. It was by the founders. It was made complete. If you go to Coinbase, look up the thing, it says it was made as a joke. But then it became known as the first community token. And now I don't think shitcoins exist anymore. I think they're all community tokens. And now we can build on these chains, because these chains are no longer tokens anymore. Now they're chains, which is pretty amazing. Their own creations, their own, things inside. And I guess these are called, what are these called? They're not satoshis. They're called dojis.
Maybe
Dogecoins. Dogecoins.
Yeah.
Well, I think also we got to remember too, like, and I brought this up, but they're ordinals. They're ordinals too,
Yeah.
So, like whatever we're doing here is definitely ordinals.
So give us some. Yeah, this is Erik's project. This is this wallet right here. It's called Ordified, right?
Yep.
Oh, how do you say it? Ordified? Okay.
Yep.
It's called Ordified, and just tell us how it started and how it got to where it is today.
So I'm one of the co-founders of it. There's two other guys. Most of those guys are kind of more behind the scenes as the main devs, right? I've always said I'm not a dev, but I kind of dive into stuff like Block does and do some research and try to get on the techie side. But I'm not the dev, so you'll see me more as the face. Those guys will pop in, but just something we've been cooking, man. We saw a need in the community, especially with Doge, how big it was, especially when DRC20s came. I mean, you can see the date right there when that deployed. Look, March 11th. That was the first BRC20, right around the same time frame, right? So,
yeah.
If people remember Jack Lug, OrdSwap, founder with BSV guy, Relay X, that doesn't work. Yeah, that guy. So he was always pushing that, but the shit was always OTC and a lot of people in crypto don't like OTC. Most people don't like that in general, right? Sorry, there's a helicopter flying over. Most people don't really like OTC in general unless you're doing something face to face. So, there's a need for a place to inscribe it, a marketplace, and then, with what's going on chain, a wallet, right? There's so much going on chain. You got to have a place to put all this stuff. So,
They coming to get you, Erik? They coming to get you?
No,
They're coming to get him
over there. That was taken off, so I don't know how loud it is. No, he's on now. So, seeing the wallet, seeing what they were capable of, we started playing around with that after we were able to launch an inscription site from the need, and so yeah, that's how the wallet kind of became a thing, and we've been cooking that up for a bit. Obviously, once the marketplace is live and a couple little things we'll do, as we've said, we'll open source it. We will open source all that. Currently waiting on, I set up everything for the Chrome extension with Google. So that can take, according to Google, days, hours, days, or weeks. So that really sums it up. So sometime soon, I hope to have that approved by Google, or if there's an error in something that we filled out, that we can have it fixed and put out there. So you don't have to go to the GitHub to actually download the wallet and manually put it in the Chrome extension like you did, Shizzy. But it's the same file that we gave that I had to submit to Google with pictures and everything else. But hopefully that's approved soon. It'll be live on the store there for download with the extension. And then I think we had 500 plus users signed up for our beta. We'll have a marketplace to be able to trade your DRC20s and such. Like I said, a lot of OTC stuff people don't like. Now I know Doge Labs just launched theirs, so I haven't been able to mess with it, man. I've been so busy. I do commercial instruction during the day, like Block does his farming, so I do that. Hours early in the morning. People see me online early. I'm in PST, so I'm literally up to 2 a.m. here, and I don't even know what time it is now. 6:30 here. I'll have some dinner soon and stay up for a little bit and rinse, repeat, right? I come home and I do the Web3 stuff. But there's a need, man. There's a need for that stuff. And so we kind of started putting it out there for the community, taking feedback from everybody. And so that's the plan with those. A lot of with these Doginals, if you guys have been diving in that, you can't see them in your wallets. So our next plans are to try to get all that indexed. So that way you can actually see it in your wallets. People are, you know, you buy art on chain, no matter what chain it is, you want to see it, right? So that's what frustrates me a lot of times with Xverse. So I end up moving a lot of my ordinals to like 2 different fucking wallets just so I can open them and look at them because they're buried in inscriptions everywhere else that they don't have separated. So,
I hate that.
yeah, and I throw jabs at Jan all the time with that. Like, hey man, it's been 3 fucking months. When can I see my fucking ordinals? You know, and you guys keep updating. Now you put it in the middle of my inscriptions. Like, I want to see the early fucking ones. Like, hey. But you know, it's cool. It's they're still working and you know they're figuring that stuff out, right? So it's different when you got wallet APIs and things when it goes mobile. So seeing that firsthand, it's a little different. So you know, we're excited for that, for the feedback. Obviously, if you guys want some testing on the marketplace, let me know and we can tie your wallets into that so that way you can have access to it. You know, more peer-to-peer. Don't know if Doge Maps will be out on this first release of it because it's just a beta to test some things. That obviously is in the works. Doge Maps are huge. The community is just dying to be able to trade their Doge Maps and their Doge Punks and everything else they've got cooking in the Dogeverse world there. So it's awesome to see, you know, communities come together and such. And you know, as like Bitmap, man, it's just a big community, right? It's a big community behind it. So it's becoming more decentralized, which is good to see. So
for sure. Well, is Ordifine going to be ordifine.com? Is that going to be a marketplace?
Yes, everything will be tied into that because you can already inscribe there. You can see the Doge Maps. If you go into that, you see top holders and that. And mind you, stuff's a lot cheaper. So I call it like the OTC of trading. Let's go fuck around on Doge because it's so cheap, right? Like,
yeah.
You know, go throw it around on there. But yeah, it's fun, man. And a lot of these guys are cooking though. There's a lot of ordinals communities and tokens and guys doing things that I'm getting introduced to. And like I said, I was gifted a lot of Doginals, and I'll end up giving all those away. I'll end up doing something with those where I won't keep any of those. You know, that I was gifted to give back to the community. Yeah. Cool stuff. Good. Awesome. I can see it firsthand when they give it to me. Like, they sent to me like, dude, where the fuck do I look at this? I can't see it on my DePaul wallet. Oh man, you gotta wait. What a fucking pain in the ass. Hey guys, we need to do something about this so we can actually look at this shit now. Yeah. Like, this is a pain in the ass for the average user that you're trying to onboard to be like, wait, I gotta do this to see my shit. I gotta do 3 extra. No, I don't want to do that. So yeah.
Well, it was. I mean, it was mentioned earlier. I want to get into this before we wrap up in a little bit. But so you guys both seem really excited about sats, right? And it's not satoshis, completely different. People say stacking sats. This is something completely different. And maybe I would start with Block. Why are you excited about sats? Why is it minting out so quickly? And why is the price going up so quickly?
So, yeah, I've just been watching it just very curious what's going on. Like early when I was messing around with brc20s initially, it was just a few percent minted out. It's got a huge supply. It requires 21 million inscriptions to mint it out. And each time you make a mint, you get 100 million sats. So it mimics Bitcoin supply in that regard. So yeah, we're kind of in this neat little place now. It's doing 1 to 1.5% of its like a day for mints, and it seems to be mostly floating between 150,000 to 400,000 inscriptions a day. And so like now I think we're probably already 16 million, so there's only 5 million mints left, and so that's more than half of all ordinals altogether, right? Like we're at not even 30 million. So if it's 16 million of these, it's huge. It's like the biggest thing in our ecosystem. So it deserves attention. I've just been running the numbers and kind of putting that out there on Spaces a lot. Because it's a real pressure on the mempool. It's been so I think it's roughly 181 days since it was deployed, and since then it's had an average weight per day of something like 83,000 mints a day, which works out to like I think it's like 585 inscriptions every block since that thing's been deployed. Since yeah. So once it's done, that's gonna really help the mempool out. Like it'll help clear a lot of the congestion. But until then, like now that it's getting near that tail end, it's crossed 75%. We get to see the whole FOMO game play out. And part of what's going on in secondary is this neat little dance that the mint is playing with the secondary market in that and the mempool. All these things are kind of this balance, right? So at different times you can mint cheaper than you can get on secondary, and then at other times you can buy them on secondary much cheaper than you can get them on in the mempool. At one point, just a couple weeks ago, up to like 50% less. Like so, it cost you 35 cents to mint it, and you buy it for like 70 cents, and then vice versa. It's been switching around. So yeah, that's been kind of like the driver of the volume. Who's minting all of these inscriptions and everything, we don't know, and still don't know the deployer or anything. So it's all kind of a mystery. And so what's going to happen at the end is, because it's getting attention, people are minting it, and that's driving up mempool prices. And then so when people go to mint it, they're going to compare that to secondary. And so if secondary is cheaper, they'll just get it there. So you're going to see secondary prices continue to escalate the closer we get to the end of this mint, because there's going to be more people trying to mint it near the end. So it's going to fill up the mempool, and the mempool is going to run away with it, and a lot of people are going to get front ran, or their mints are going to get left behind, right? So I guess you would almost pay a premium maybe to buy on secondary, just for not having to play the mempool game. And just in the last few days, you've seen like the floor of the mempool go from like 8 to 11 to 14, and I think today, I'd have to check, but mostly 17-ish area. So that's why you're seeing the escalation in the secondary price. And like that volume is extraordinary. You're talking about like 7 Bitcoin volume a day on secondary alone, and 300, 400,000 mints at the same time. It's really unparalleled. It's nothing like it.
Yeah. I mean, in the current times we're in too, right? Like for
Yeah.
it to have that much volume, and you compare that to like OMB, which on a good day probably puts out like 1.3 Bitcoin. And so, yeah, I feel like Sats is definitely, and Shizzy knows I've been praising Sats for like how long? Probably like a month and a half, just because.
At least, yeah.
Yeah, just because I know, like, I feel like the branding has a lot to do with it too. Like people are looking in the future saying like, okay, like Sats, single Satoshi, right? And then, but as I told you, Block, in the DMs before, was like, I'm a little bit worried about secondary dumping after the mint, but like you said, that kind of happens with all tokens. But long term, I'm still even more bullish about it, because like if you look at the holders and the people that are buying, someone's throwing a lot of BTC at it.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
76.
I'm looking at it for years down the road, right? Like not to sit when it mints out and flip it for a quick $100 or 1,000 double up, right? Like I want 1 sat equals 1 sat. If it takes 5 years, it takes 5 years. But if 1 sat equals 1 sat, then there you go, right?
Yeah. How many sats in the Bitcoin? 100 million?
100 million. Yeah.
100 million.
Oh my God! I will scream praise Jesus if it gets to 1 sat equals 1 sat.
Right, well, you got to be the guys that hold it, right, and not keep trading it.
Yeah. So, and also, I always thought too, like, how are these? How is secondary being so much cheaper? And I mentioned, you obviously can mint cheaper if you run your own node. Is that still happening, you think?
So you save a little bit using your node. It's quickly, like a couple of weeks ago, these were much cheaper, and you'd save a lot more on secondary because it wasn't garnering the attention. So there's a lot of people that probably minted and probably in a much higher fee environment in like April and May, and are just trying to get liquidity back. And now it's really turned So that arbitrage is closed. It's constantly changing because it's so illiquid, especially the Unisat marketplace. But yeah, there's kind of a neat little dance that they're playing. But early on, like, yeah, it was pretty obvious nodes were grinding them out and then flipping to secondary because they could mint it for a lot less than other people, especially before a lot of the marketplaces before they downgraded their fees significantly. Like Unisat's really, really done, right? So they had this massive advantage that gap's closed. And now it's a whole different animal because of the mempool escalation. So you can't really sit at home on your node and mint them the same way because they can just run away from you, right? So yeah, it really just depends on the fee you want to stick in there. But then a lot of people are going to just say, well, screw it, I'm going to go to secondary because it's a sure thing, it's there. But you don't get the Unisat points for minting, right? Like if you mint on Unisat, right?
That is true. Right? That is true. Yeah.
Oh,
well, I'm glad there's a dance though, because we need it minted out. So, you know,
I got a little alpha.
Uh-oh, here it is. Here it is, everybody.
Here we go. Here we go.
So I was doing a little digging. I noticed that, okay, so this is like, I guess the Satsmint, I think it's pretty big in Asian community, Asian Bitcoin crypto community. It seems to have a lot of attention over there. I was looking at some of the YouTube videos by somebody, and I figured out that certain inscription services have changed the envelope around your mint, including Unisat now. I think they just maybe did it yesterday. I'm not sure. But you don't have to pack those with 546 sats anymore. There, Unisat will let you go down to 330. So if you do 1,000 mints, you save $50. And then other places we're going, like this guy in this video I saw, I can't remember what, he was using a service we're not familiar with, that you don't hear about very often. I'd have to look it up again. But I think they were packing them with only 220 sats in the envelope. So before it's the math is 1,000 times 546 is like kind of a base. Yeah. And now that's cut in half. So you save that now. And that's what people are doing now with their mints.
Interesting. That's awesome. I'm gonna have to look that up. I'm gonna do some research on that. I wanna real quick let Block talk about the blockchain racing club, because I want him to be able to educate some people on that. I was actually a part of a racing club on Chronos. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that chain. It was called Lazy Horse Racing Club. But basically your NFT was a part of like a real racing team. Is that how this is? Or if not, can you kind of explain it to the audience?
That's basically what this is. It's like in horse racing, there's a variety of structures, including like syndicates, partnerships, and all kinds of or just individual ownership. One of the newest players and biggest players on the scene, like the last 10, 15 years, has been China Horse Club, which is a private company that offers its members ownership experience without having to dox themselves. So they're like this shadowy group of Chinese land developers mostly, but millionaires and billionaires. A lot of them aren't revealed what their identity is. I thought that kind of thing for Web3 would work. It'd be horse racing is kind of unique in that it's really plugged into the internet. So like almost any race around the world, you can stream. And physical locations have very low barrier to entry. Like you can walk into most places with nothing and participate with $2. But for the online, degen, there's some interest there, but it would genuinely be the first sporting project, I guess, ever, really, that like it would, it's like Zed Run in real life. So we're looking to, it's more of we're trying to bring through the working and cooperating with Web3 communities, we can bring the barrier of entry to horse racing experience way down.
Yeah.
Instead of just having a few people, you can integrate. And this is a problem that a lot of NFT communities are struggling with: is steady interaction, maybe in real life experiences, maybe it's merch or just something for them to be partnered in or like to drive interest. So it's something that can bring everybody together, but it's also sort of it's like a private club. So we have like an in real life facility, which is like, we've been building out for 3 years. So, this name Blockchain Racing Club is just, I got lucky with the BRC acronym, but it's always been named that. So like we kind of moved into our current facility with this intention to build this out, and then Ordinals just kind of fell into our lap. So that it's been really fun because I wouldn't want to launch it anywhere else other than on Bitcoin. That's just me. So yeah, I'm super excited to trickle out the info on that. It's a slow roll because it's been years in the making, and I'm just a co-founder. There's a bigger team around me. I'm more the Web3 guy, so I'll be the face of it for the Web3 community. But there's other people around me on the farm that are like play their role or big support, and it wouldn't happen without them. So yeah, I'm super excited to get that out there. I guess any alpha I would give on that is just go to blockchainracingclub.com and sign up for the kind of stealth whitelist I've got going on. It's just for people that took the time to go to my profile and hit that link and do their due diligence. They'll get rewarded first. So that's kind of how that works. So, and that's all a closed system where, I'm going to communicate and email everybody else, everybody that signs up individually, and explain the club to them and roll out the full idea. We have a full documentation on there that explains it in much greater detail, including a lot of alpha in regards to like what moves are making down the line, but it's pretty heavy because it's based around a larger in real life business. It's not your typical NFT project, right? So so yeah, that'll be coming soon. Just keep watching.
Awesome.
That's good.
And we'll put all the links, of course, as always,
Yeah.
in the description for both the Ordifine and Blockchain Racing Club. And yeah, man.
I want to get one more question. So today we had Boyson Labs on, which is kind of like a layered, like almost like a layer 2. It's really not. They're saying it's not a layer 2. It's more of like a roll up. And then we had Bob Bodley on. He has ICP, and he's kind of doing their layer 2. And then we have things like Track, who's doing Tap, which is on the layer 1. And then we had Sonic from orc-cash on, which is also doing a layer 1. And they're doing orc-cash tokens, and then you got Tap tokens. Then you have your layer 2s. So what do you guys think about like each of them, and like where do you see a winner if there is going to be a winner? Are we going to have to do like A&Ms or AMMs on layer 2s, or can we do them on layer 1? Start with Block.
I don't know how that's going to play out. I think I don't know. I think we're so early. I think we have yet to see even 1% of what's possible on this, what's going to happen out of ordinals. And the only thing I really consider that's got real legs so far for a protocol is just BRC20. Everything else is really needs time and broader acceptance, and it's harder. It's already super hard to get any kind of I don't know, like across this whole ecosystem, some kind of consensus and push that we all accept the new protocol, because it's now after Domo released BRC20, it's been kind of like a waiting game. Everybody's been trying to find like what's the next thing that's gonna allow staking and everything else, like a new protocol. But you have a lot of teams building in the background because there's a lot of financial incentive to be the winner in that. So everything gets a lot of FUD from everybody else because So it's hard to organically create that kind of environment again, where everybody just says, okay, we love this thing, and we're going to mint it, like BRC20. So I'm kind of pitching my tent there for now.
Gotcha. Same question, Erik.
Yeah, we're still so early, right? But I think, I think you'll see both layers being used. You have your L2 people, your L1 people. L2, I feel, could be best for more payment type of systems. Because there's no need to put any payments for anything on chain, right? Why clog the chain up for, let me pay for that ordinal that doesn't need to be on chain. So things like that. DeFi right now is on layer 2, but could it come to layer 1? Again, people are still cooking. I know Unisat's excited about working with L2s. When I was on that show and they were on with Alex and Xverse, and Domo was on there. So I don't know if they're cooking behind the scenes with Domo. And they said there's so much more to that BRC20 protocol. So, we're not devs. So I think we're just excited as you guys are. We're still, 8 months into ordinals, right? So it's still like super early. I hear people say like they're dead. Like, how can we be dead? We just started this shit. Like, it's not. Said that about the internet and email and everything else, and look where we're at with all those today, right? So cell phones, I said the same shit. They'll never come up.
Yeah.
Said about Bitcoin about 1,000 times by now.
Yep.
Right. And with all the other Ethereum and all that other shit. So
Bitcoin's the Undertaker. He just keeps coming back.
there's just obviously there's certain things you just can't do yet on L1 that you need L2 for until we find those ways to put them on L1.
So you do think there will be ways. So you guys are both confident that maybe it's not TAP, maybe it's not orc-cash, but something will come and we're going to be trading with dexes and liquidity pools on layer 1.
If you read
I think so.
Yeah, if you read into some of those quotes that Satoshi has said, he's put all those into the system for when they're needed to be able to be used. I think people just need to, how can I say, find them or know how to use them, since he's not around, right? How can I put mortgage lending into Bitcoin that Satoshi has made accessible? How can I do liquidity pools that he's made accessible? So I don't know. I'm waiting for that guy smarter than me to do it so I can use it. All there, it's just who's going to do it and who's going to affect it to where we can use it.
Yeah.
So that's where L2s and 1s will come in, right? I think
you're
still going to see that for a while. You'll still use L1 and L2s with Ethereum for just different things. So
yeah.
Good answer.
Sounds good. This has been absolutely amazing, guys. I really appreciate your time. I know you guys are both busy with other things and coming on our show, man. Really appreciate it. Appreciate you guys coming on and actually using your real faces and not emojis. That really means a lot to the community. That means a lot to us. And we really appreciate that. And definitely, if you guys want to say anything to the community, I mean, you guys talk every day, but you can use our platform right here to kind of say whatever you guys need to say. So, what's up, Erik?
I don't know. I appreciate everyone's support. Everyone knows how I can be sometimes when it comes to transparency. But I always like constructive criticism and feedback, whether it's good or bad, and I can dish it and I can take it too. So sometimes I may be harsher than others, but hey, take it with a grain of salt. I'm just who I am, and I don't know who you are on the other side of your PFP. So, but sometimes text comes out different. I like to have fun on spaces, as you guys know. So a lot of times that's my downtime after working hard during the day, especially on the weekends. I reward myself on the weekends. Why you ever say, hey, Erik's popping shrooms? Yeah. Because I just work my ass a week, right? So I'm enjoying myself this weekend. So, that's what happens, right? Smoking a little weed.
Sure.
Hey, you got to relax. So no, I appreciate you guys. Appreciate you having us on here. Giving us the time for that. And I appreciate the community. So, good or bad. Blockamoto, if you watch this, fucking unblock me, dude. So,
Unblockamoto him.
Hide behind blocks, man. No pun intended. It was a friendly jab. I don't know why he blocked me, but hey, teach his own.
So we're on the subject. What happened? Like, how did it get to that point?
He said, I'm back. All I said was, he said, I'm back. For me, I just said, hey, so 1.1 Bitcoin lasts about 3 weeks. Good to know. How you feeling? And that was it. I screenshot it. It's there.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Well, to be fair, he blocked Mattyverse too, though.
Yeah.
Did he really?
Yeah.
He blocked
He
Matty?
blocked Mattyverse. Like, I want to say, it was so funny too, because like, you know, Mattyverse is he's like one of the nicest dudes, but like he's kind of like Erik sometimes, where he'll just speak his mind, and he said something like, maybe this time, or no more titty or something like that, and then like that got him blocked, instant blocked. And then
Block Runner was talking about that on their show. They were talking about how it
yeah.
was like, how does that get? Whatever, it is what it is.
I think Block blocked first anyway, so he started the behind the block.
Yeah, it was me.
It's just funny. We've given Blockamoto shit since phase whatever. Why block us now? You know, it's entertainment, man. We give him shit at the end of the day, and it's whatever. But yeah, I don't know. I disagree with some of his stuff, but
yeah.
You know what? Matt wouldn't be here. He didn't throw that out there, so we'll give the guy credit where it's due there. But he should have stopped right there, and I'll leave it at that.
I agree. It would have been nice to see him disappear, just going forever. That would have been cool.
Block. Yeah. It's your turn. What you got for your community, and go ahead.
Go to blockchainracingclub.com for sure. Read the document if you want to do your due diligence. Sign up for the whitelist. It's free. You'll find out the details after. We'll communicate, get in touch with you. Other than that, I guess I'll see everybody around in spaces. It was great being on the show. I really like your guys' coverage, BRC20s and Unisat and everything that's going on. I really appreciate you guys asking me to come on. It's been a pleasure. Buy an Ordilla and go check out Ordinal Coffee in the morning with Bean and Base family. We're a very active chat and active morning spaces, and we'd love to have anybody on that sees this and wants to shoot the shit.
I'm gonna join that. I'm gonna start joining that, and then also I'm definitely gonna read the docs for everything now, because I feel like that's like Block's thing, man, and it pays off, right? So you would have known about the decimal if you would have read the. If you would have read
the
right.
Block about the hashtag before the number.
There you go.
Yeah, that one too. Yeah, don't get me started.
And I'm trying to get in Based, man. I keep hearing about this damn fucking chat room you guys got, and I can't get the freaking invite.
What is that, like a clubhouse thing? Is Based the clubhouse thing? How do you get in?
Take it up.
You gotta talk to Bean. He's got the base passes. Yeah, you'll find him. I'll put in a good word for you guys. We'll see if we can get you guys in there.
Cool, Sounds good. I need to be a part of this club, man. I keep hearing amazing things. So, all right, guys, please hit the like for these guys. Let's get this one of the most liked video, because these guys are amazing. We appreciate everything, and that's it. Thanks, guys.
Appreciate it.